Hey everyone, I'm Talon, and welcome to another EverCraft online guide. Today we'll be exploring duo leveling, and I'm someone who usually likes to jump in and solo due to my sporadic schedule, but since there are just so many benefits to grouping in EverCraft Online, I wanted to dig in, do some research, find some fun class interactions that I could share with my friends. EverCraft Online is a game where adding just one more player often makes you feel way more powerful. And even though a full group of 6 may potentially be the best experience you can get, you may run into the problems of running out of enemies in an area or having to compete for items or gear. So, anecdotally, I find that running as a duo increases your leveling pace, but it still gives you a lot of flexibility and heightened survivability, and it provides you with someone to hang out with during downtime, which makes the time fly for me. It allows you to do group content as well as a bonus to experience, so that you're not directly splitting the enemy experience in half. So there's a nice little cushion there as well. When you start picking a class to duo with, try considering these things. First of all, the start location. Make sure that if you're playing like an ogre shaman, that you wouldn't expect to be able to play with a human or an elf right away. Combat buff synergy, I'll go over a few, but there is a lot of unique class interactions. Ability for your group to fill important roles, especially that of splitting and healing. Try to diversify armor types and weapon types so that you're never competing for one another. Lastly, decide how challenging you want the group to be. Some may benefit from being highly focused, and you'll bear a lot of fruit in groups like that. But other groups that may not be far behind, you may get one that's just very relaxing, methodical, kind of depending on the classes you play and pick. So our first is the tank and healer. Probably no surprise from a lot of people. I did omit one tank from this list that I'll go over later. So this list is generally lowish kill speed, but very consistent as you go, so that you're never recovering too long. It's your damage dealer, does damage. Your healer kind of buffs and does that while they're kind of sitting most of the time. You have variable travel speed in the form of druid with the speed buffs, and also the gateway. To a lesser extent, shaman with just the speed buff, but your cleric does have the ability to make it a safer interaction when you're pulling from camps, in that they can ensure the enemies come just one at a time. So this is a great cornerstone group for future group endeavors, and there's definitely an incentive with some of these tanks that they don't mind having additional tanks. So just depending on the stance or their playstyle that they use. But next is a little spicier. This is a stealthy combo that focuses on pulling single enemies and deleting them before they can take much damage. The ranger has light heals that are strengthened in the morning hours, which is fun, but you really just want to either pull with an ambush and then get the high threat from your ranger, and then finish off that enemy quickly with some backstabs from your rogue. I'll note that they do, share similar weapon types, armor dependencies, and that's the main drawback. But hopefully that can be kind of eliminated by the ability to kind of infiltrate, get to some enemies because they have stealth that a lot of other groups may not be able to get to quite as consistently. So hopefully that can level out that con by kind of going into groups and finding the ones that have the weapons you're looking for specifically. After that, we have cleric and classes with pets. Now, in this group, the cleric pretty much lulls and heals, while the magician, necro, or beast lord does work. Now, it's a relaxing combo that really, the only thing that it lacks is the ability to escape should something go wrong. But you're not going to want to try to pull probably from larger camps oftentimes, although they do have the ability to do it. Your cleric and your necro, this is a very strong anti-undead combination. Your beast lord with it is very safe due to how they can juggle threat And your mage is a very strong generalist. Like they can approach with like nuking stuff if they're enemies that you would benefit from that strategy, but they can really do a lot of different things. So definitely a big one there, and you'll provide a little more damage than if you were to have just a tank going through that, because there are a primary DPS class that pretty much all of these ones can tank still, or have their unique ways of tanking for the group. So it feels like a full package. The Enchanter and Shadow Knight. This is another spicy group. So really, I would equate this to like the Shadow Knight is just a train, just trying to solo enemies as often as possible. At the same time, that Enchanter just shoveling coal into the furnace. So they're gonna haste the Shadow Knight the whole time, so they can keep up their lifesteal throughout, and just making sure nothing goes wrong. So they're gonna be pulling enemies, lulling, stunning. And the only real downside, other than not having like a dedicated healer, is that they're a bit slow at traveling with the Shadow Knight, and this group has no way to boost that speed going from point A to point B. But I really like this, and even though it seems a little spicy, you just get one healer if you want some safety, if you just want to chill, and this group becomes very well rounded quickly. The next and the last, and probably my favorite, are these two groups. Now, these are like wrecking balls for lower level or same level enemies. They're going to struggle to do like single targets. But basically how it works is both players grab enemies and collapse, while the wizard player gets as many flexes off as possible so that they can get mana return, and then they just detonate on all of them. Now, the druid has some light area of effect, the war wizard and the wizard, though, being kind of the main generators of area of effect damage. And you want to be able to, finish all of them off. So getting a few flex procs in to be able to finish everything off is really what you want to be at. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so travel speed, though, and kill speed, huge 5-star with that. So both of these groups actually have the ability to phase kind of back home. Well, I guess the War Wizard may not have that, but they both have speed boost from from the Shaman and then the Druid, and then the Wizard and the Druid both have a gateway spell, so they can just pop around the world at will. And so even though it may be difficult to find a camp, you may have to have a couple where you bounce back and forth getting these groups, because your kill speed is so high in that way. Again, for lower level groups, so the experience level isn't huge, but as long as you can find a couple camps to bounce back and forth between, you're going to be in really good shape. And so that may be challenging, but the fact you can bounce around the world to look for these camps or places that are available for you it really negates that in a lot of ways. And I won't go into detail, but they both have highly synergistic buffs with one another as well. So this is a big one. And I say that's a big one, but that wizard might be riding a little bit on that shaman's ability. So I love that there are clear roles in EverCraft Online and with the shaman that are not covered by this class, but you can put the shaman with pretty much anything, and the pair brings value to one another. However, you can put them with most classes, but yeah, there's always something that the shaman can have improved, like putting with the wizard. It boosts their low damage and allows the shaman to get around the world even faster. In a larger group, your shaman might feel a little spread thin, so that's why I feel like just putting them in a duo makes them really shine. And that's pretty much it from me. You're going to find other things to do when your other player is offline, because you want to really negate getting too far ahead or too far behind your partner, because you really create a rift. So really try to stay on track together as much as you can. But there are a lot of other things to do in EverCraft Online when you're not strictly leveling. I mean, you can level an alt, sure, but crafting and gathering are plenty of things to do, especially if you're a double damage class. Really stockpiling those bandages is gonna be a great use of your downtime. So you're going to want to align those play schedules and support each other through this. It's not easy to get on that train, and even though I want you to support each other so that you can really be efficient and go through leveling together, things happen, and just be kind to one another, and you'll get to max level before you know it. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for your time, and until next time, take care.